Alright guys, this is going to be pretty quick. I got to go to bed, but this is going to be Dragon Reviews, the Carrack for Star Citizen. My general gist of what I think the ship would be used for, everything else. It's not going to be a tour, anything else. I will note that I'm not a Star Citizen professional. I don't know the balance of everything. I've watched a lot of content and videos over different things. And generally in games, I find ways to do things that people just don't like. But my first thing is basically, I think the Carrack can be a jack of all trades ship. But the one issue that I've been having is where to stick people if you were going to say do search and rescue or have enemies on the ship as prisoners, etc. And I don't like none of the doors. I don't know if we can necessarily lock them, but if you could lock them in a crew cabin or the hangar upstairs, etc. And it really came down to two options. One, you set them on top of the Carrack, and hopefully they don't fall off or whatever, right? You keep them from entering your ship at all. But two, you could go from the cartography bay or the medical hangar to the back elevator of the Carrack, or you could go into the main entrance and the main ramp and walk straight back to this area here. So this is the main elevator that goes down into the Carrack, and it's not working right now. But what I think we should see is if, like, I don't know if anyone's going to ever change anything about the ships, but if they do, right here's the armory, right next to this elevator, okay? So you have these weapon racks and these suits on both sides. Well, there's two big hallways right here, and they both lead to this turret in the back. Now, what I think we should do is have this section of the ship be a prison cell, essentially. So you're going to engage in combat, fight people, and then you go and pick up the remains of their crew and shove them back here in this room where they can't really do much, and lock the doors whenever they allow us to lock doors. And that's the real question. Now, it's not perfect situation because your people are going to have to run through here, you know, get to the turret if you get under attack or something, but you don't have to use this turret if you have a bunch of prisoners in there if they allow us to lock the door. Ideally, they put a second door right here. And then you shove your prisoners in one of these hallways, you lock both of these doors, and they stay there. That would be the best situation, because if they get out, they're going to get access to your weapon lockers and everything else, and that's not good. Unless you only use this for storing enemy gear. Okay. Now, the second reason I think that the Carrack is a really good ship and you should consider using it is because even at the base Carrack with these cargo bays, you don't really need the modularity. You just need to be able to open these and drop these to fit more items inside of here. And we already got the gist of the plan. But this center walk beam here allows you to overview every single cargo bay area, and this elevator here does go down to the cargo pod, but it doesn't extend farther than this. So when this cargo pod is deployed, this is just going to be dangling in the air above it. Essentially, it means if you enter or exit the ship from this ramp here, you're going to be able to basically keep anyone from getting on your ship that you don't want to when it's open. And then you can shoot from up here or go down on the elevator and shoot in both directions anyone that tries to get on the ramp. Or, you know, just if you want some security, if you're afraid someone's going to run up and randomly try to steal your stuff, you can just be sitting here or walk by and see it. And we got 3 of these. Now, the second part of this is going to have to do with the hangar and those items there. So this hangar can fit 2 Ursas and a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to kind of give you an idea of what I think that you should get in game. Okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and in the game because we're not playing today. I was just showing you inside of the ship what I was thinking about holding prisoners inside of the ship and how you would do it with the Carrack. But now if we go over here, I'm going to show you basically what the game plan is with the Carrack. So as you know, the Carrack comes with this expedition ship and this Ursa rover. So you get two of those. So when you start the game off, you're going to have the Ursa rover and this expedition ship. You will keep this expedition ship in the air bay, okay, and this Ursa rover in the back of your ship or in the front of your ship because it's the loading ramp, okay. Now the next thing is we get the rescue version of this expedition, right? And there's a couple options here. You can either get two expeditions or two of these rescues, or you can just get one of each. Doesn't really matter to me. But this rescue ship will then be the ship that you stick in the back with this, or in the front where the ramp is. Okay? So you're going to have these two ships in your front ramp, which gives you the option of, you know, fast, short travel distances, scouting missions, etc. with this. Medical rescue with this. Okay? Now you can start with this inside the hangar and this inside of the ramp. So you're going to have both of those on the ship, and you're still going to have the Ursa. That's kind of the evolution that's going to be happening here. Now, when they get the Carrack to the point where the cargo bays can open, you can load this Ursa into one of those cargo bays. Then you want to get your hands on a rock, either the basic rock or the rock DS, but I would go with the rock DS, and you would either want one of these or two of these, depending. So if you use one of these, you can store it with the Ursa, and essentially the Ursa would be your scouting ship and personnel ship or ground vehicle, escorting your mining craft to the location and guarding the mining craft. The Ursa will also act as essentially a defensive platform for your people if they come under attack, and house the armaments and armor that you need in case you need to fight back. So your miners are going to be able to go and get inside the Ursa, arm up, and then have a standoff in the Ursa, essentially, or the Ursa can run off and leave the mining equipment while they get geared up. That's essentially the game plan. But this Ursa potentially has a crew of 4 besides the driver, as far as I recall. It might be 3, it might be 4. But as far as I recall, it's 4. So that means that you could have 2 of these mining vehicles escorted by 1 rover. This will be your anti-personnel. Then you're going to have a minimum of 4 people with you because they're driving these vehicles here. Then what's going to happen is these and this are in the cargo bay. You get a Buccaneer if you have a small crew, and you stick it in the hangar up top. This is going to be essentially a fast strike force kind of pressure machine whose goal is mainly to support your medical ship because the Buccaneer can actually uh, jump like the medical ship can. And the Buccaneer's really fast, so it should be able to launch and get to this medical ship if there's an emergency, and it can also support your expeditions and stuff like that. Now, how this will work essentially is this also allows you to do bounty missions and other things like that, where this allows you to do rescue missions and things like that. This allows you to do some ground explorations and things like that. This allows you to do mining and whatever else mining lasers can do in the future. This also should work with the Carrack. So I would build the Carrack to where it basically disables enemy ships would be the game plan. And then you would essentially launch this fighter after you've disabled a ship to threaten them. If they don't do what you say, this fighter will tell them a new one. Or instead of picking a fight with fighters and going toe to toe with them with this Buccaneer, you do strafing runs where you hit them really hard and then rush out. And if they try to chase you, the Carrack is going to shoot them. And if the Carrack shoots them and they get deactivated or they get distracted, you can come back and do the strafe run. Okay? So this is for if you have a small crew, like 6 crew. Because this is going to allow you to basically, any one of your crew to go and do whatever missions that they want whenever they want. Now, if you have a large crew and you're going over 6 people, and you all happen to like fighting and stuff, this is where I think the Furies come in. So instead of having the Buccaneer, you could put 4 Furies inside of that hangar bay. These Furies, though, can't jump like the Buccaneer can. So you'd have to use these for areas around you, um, relatively close. But if you're a pirate or something in space and you're getting into dogfights and stuff, they would essentially swarm the enemy as your Carrack is deactivating their ship, and these would be the firepower to be like, hey, don't move, or we're going to do something. They're not going to be the direct fighters. The Carrack is going to be the direct fighter. Then, in the hangar bays, you're going to want a couple of ground vehicles, or at least one ground vehicle that is capable of anti-air to defend your miners. This is going to be like an emergency response vehicle. This one here got the cannon and anti-air missiles. But essentially, you should be able to put 1 or 2 of these probably in one of those cargo bays. Or you can use the tank or whatever else that you can fit in a cargo bay. If you only use one mining ship, you could potentially bring like a bigger anti-air system. But this is basically just going to be something quick that your team can drive around on the planet's surface to go and do things, and also defend your mining vehicles. These are also here basically to buy time. So your Ursa and your Cyclones, or whatever you decide to use, are going to be there to buy time on the ground and to buy time against air units for your Buccaneer to show up. Okay, so if a ship comes down and they're trying to, abuse your miners are going to get in the Ursa. They're going to gear up with weapons, anti-air, whatever they got. Then the Cyclones will be rolling in to the area to try and basically protect everything that you have as best as they can. And then the Buccaneer would launch from the Cutlass or the Carrack, come in and do strafing runs, try to buy time for your units to kind of mobilize and draw attention away from them. Then your Carrack would basically show up and provide the actual fire support that you need to deal with the threat, and that would be the gist of the system. If you have the Furies, you basically launch the Furies out from the top and send them to the medical, but they can't jump, so basically you'd have to jump with the Carrack instead of the Buccaneer. And also, you wouldn't be able to do bounty hunting missions with these compared to the Buccaneer. Um, yeah. there's something else that I'm forgetting. I think it's the Ergo Cargo. So this Ergo Cargo here could potentially be a replacement for this. Only if you don't care about doing long distance or whatever, medium distance medical rescue here. Because the Argo, basically, if you're going for the Argo, that's when you're going for the Furies. Because these Furies are going to be stuck around the Carrack, and these Argos are going to be stuck around the Carrack. But the Argo can bring med pods, um, cargo containers, ammunition, all that good stuff. And it's a smaller footprint, I believe, than this. So you can put like one of them or something in there, maybe get a couple of extra pods for it somewhere. But essentially, you could use it for, rescue for people that are around the Carrack, etc. But it also has other utilities, but I probably wouldn't go that far into it. Now, when it comes to a final ship that I would say to lead towards, it's the Legionnaire. This isn't because it's going to do anything necessarily for your group. It's not going to be stored on the ship or anything like that. This would be basically the starting point of your PvP after you get your Carrack, because this allows you to board ships. Now, you're going to be able to deactivate ships with Carrack, and also with the additional fire support. At the bare minimum, you can have the PC's Rescue, the PC's Exploration, and the Buccaneer with the Carrack all acting against one ship, and kind of whittle it down and deactivate it. But this right here, as far as I know, it can't fit anywhere on the ship, sadly, but you can dock it, is the plan. You can dock it to the Carrack, and when you quantum with the Carrack, this ship would dock, and it would also quantum with the Carrack. And essentially, anytime that you're doing space combat, you'd be able to deactivate the ship and then put troops on this ship, use it to board, as long as it doesn't get damaged or whatever, the enemy ship, while also having extra guns here to be able to use against enemy craft as well. Even if this doesn't connect to your ship, I would say this would be the first ship that you get to fly around with your Carrack as um, like a defender, like a defending craft or something along those lines, just because the versatility of this. Also, just whenever you destroy a ship or deactivate a ship, you're going to be able to board it. You can also use this as a drop ship to go down to planet surfaces to reinforce any of your expeditions, or reinforce any of your medical rescues, or attack any bunkers, or also, defend your mining. It can help your buccaneer. There's a lot of things that it could potentially do as a dropship kind of combo with your Carrack. So that would be the next thing I would lead towards, is this Legionnaire. But the last bit is because we're essentially trying to get every part of the game into one area. So the Carrack is already an exploration ship, and it's going to be able to have, radars. It's going to be able to find jump points. It's going to do exploration. Um, Potentially, its computers are going to be able to store, points and stuff that you can sell to people. And what's happening with this system that I'm making in my mind right now is basically that you're going to be able to do any of the contract missions, and no matter where you go exploring with the Carrack, you're essentially going to be looking at the planet and finding every mission on the planet's surface that you can get done every time that you land. So if you get to the surface and there's people injured, you can send out your rescue. If you get to the surface and you want to look for like rocks and materials, you could send out the expedition. Or if you want to do a box mission, you could send out the expedition. If you want to do a bounty hunting mission, you could send out the buccaneer. Um, if you wanted to do mining, you can put down the mining equipment and start mining. If you wanted to do salvage or whatever, basically the game plan would be where the airlocks are. I would put salvage equipment where the airlocks are um, in the game, basically inside the Carrack, and use your airlocks for teams to leave and start salvaging. But I think the Carrack, the bare minimum the ship needs is six. But I feel like the Carrack can take advantage of having more than six people on its crew. Because right now with six, you could have one person flying the ship, one person flying the Buccaneer, um, and then four people on turrets. Or you could have one person flying, the ship, couple people on turrets, someone running a rescue, or if you land the Carrack on the ground and you have someone do a rescue mission, then you could have someone in the Buccaneers, someone in like mining vehicles and etc. But I think you could easily get 12 plus people and be able to run a crew with that essentially on the Carrack and being able to do everything that you can, which I can't picture any other way with any other ship. The other thing is just Carrack is way more defensible than most of the other ships, like the ground game wise. If you don't use the loading ramp, there's no way for really anyone to get on your ship. So if you're storing the expedition and the rescue ships inside the ramp bay, and you just have someone on board the ship to activate the cargo areas off and on, there's really no way for people to get into your ship. Whereas like other ships, the only entry points are ramps or certain sort of elevators. Like even taking the constellations and stuff, there's an elevator that goes down from the outside. So as soon as you push that button, someone can get in. Whereas the Carrack, even if someone kills you on that ramp, there's no way that they can actually get inside unless someone inside the ship allows that ramp to go up. Um, so there's that as well, but also it's just I don't see any other ship that's capable of doing everything else. And when you have more people in the same area, you should be able to do things like salvage because you're going to be able to EVA out with your groups and take apart a ship with a number of people. If you have, 12 people on board, you can get into a dogfight or whatever and then EVA out like, six people, 10 people, siphon and salvage what you can, get what parts you can off of a ship, then come back. And then use the expedition or whatever else that you need to kind of, look out or do whatever. You have the interceptor, so like whoever's left on the ship could either fly the Carrack or hop into the interceptor and try to buy time for the crews to get back in on board. There's a bunch of things that you could do. But essentially, this is the loadout that I think would be pretty good for the Carrack, just in general, because being able to hop on, like even if I was a solo player, being able to hop on and being like, oh, I want to do some box runs, but I just park my Carrack somewhere and I hop in this expedition and I go do some box runs and stuff. Or oh, I hop in, I want to do some medical, so like I just hop in, I hop in the medical unit, I start flying and I do some medical stuff. Or oh, like I want to go do some ground exploration and like do some hand mining or like do a bunker thing here and use the rover, then I could just do that. Or oh, hey, maybe I want to do some mining, but I don't feel like hand mining, but I want to like get a bunch of mining and store it on my ship and stuff for later. Then I have, mining stuff. Or oh, man, like if I want to go bounty hunt or be a defender, like, give someone some aid or answer a defense call. Oh, I can hop in this Buccaneer and like do some Buccaneer stuff, you know? Or oh, like maybe I want to drive on the ground, but I don't want to be in an Ursa because Ursas are kind of dumb. So like I just want to like have some big guns and fly around and be able to like Or like maybe I see a ship in the distance or some sort of combat on the ground, I could hop in this and like go off and take off. Or like, hey, maybe I want to try to board a ship, so I hop into the Legionnaire and just try to solo board a ship or something. I don't know, it just feels like there's a lot of things you could do. The Legionnaire is like the end game. Like you're gonna have to have two pilots for the Legionnaire. Um, Either case, most likely. But even if this stays on in space, I highly doubt it's going to stay on during combat or in atmospheric flight. So this would be something that you'd have to detach anytime that you went into atmosphere. And since the Carrack doesn't really have any way to move mining vehicles down to the surface, like that would probably be the next thing that you would do is um, after the Legionnaire upgrade, finding something that can carry your mining equipment for you. So you could potentially get like a bigger drop ship or something that could drop mining equipment and people down on the ground, and while the Carrack like stays in the air as a base. That'd probably be the best thing to do. But that's about it. I'm gonna hop off. Happy Thanksgiving and holidays. We have Thanksgiving today. I know I'm a little bit late on it, but if this is anything good for you, let me know what you think about the plan and the idea. But if you like the video, just dislike it and don't subscribe so no one knows that I exist and we keep it secret because it's just between you and me right now. Okay? You guys have a good.